What happened? I repeated the question in my head. What happened to the dream? I answered my question out loud, for Sanem's benefit. I woke up. We passed over the mountains. I saw the first outcrop of orange rooftops. I started counting the pools. I wondered how long it would take me to be invited to a pool party. What celebrities would I meet first? I had a smile on my face. It looked to be a beautiful town, LA. I would be happy here. Get a job, the voice in my head whispered. Get a job and then go worry about the pool parties. I smirked. Easy enough. The plane entered a cloud. I saw nothing but white fluff for a long time. I contemplated if there truly was a God that created all of this. I blinked. And then we were through. The city lay before me. All of it. Buildings and houses as far as the eye could see. In all directions. It didn't stop. They were everywhere. My smirk disappeared. It's a city. The realization dawned on me. We landed shortly after. I stared out the window the entire time. I saw the skyscrapers shooting out of the ground in the middle of all of it all. 4 or 5, or 6 or 7, I didn't count. There weren't many amidst the rest of the low-level buildings. I made a mental note. That's where I needed to be. My Ari Gold was waiting in one of those skyscrapers for me. That's where I had to go. I waited at baggage claim for my luggage. I looked around me and took mental photographs of all the people. 2 white guys, dressed stylishly with nice haircuts. A short Hispanic woman showing a lot of leg in her short jean shorts. 1 other black guy. Wasn't ugly. He was taller than me and was dressed nice, but he walked like a queer. Wouldn't be competition. I got my bags. My large black suitcase that had cost $75 to put on board the flight due to the overweight charge. My lighter red duffel bag that I still wondered if I really needed to bring. I stacked one on top of the other and eagerly stepped out of the airport anticipating the warm California weather. I practically ran to the automatic sliding doors. I could see the blue sky. People waiting for taxis and rides in the street. I took my sweater off and rushed out to meet them. It was colder than I expected. There was a breeze that forced me to shiver. I frowned. I was expecting something in the 80s or the 70s at the least. I put my sweater back on. It's winter, I reminded myself. It was warmer than New Jersey. Rationalization. I used Uber to call for a driver. It's an app available for smartphones. He was already there, waiting for me. His name was Cabal. He ran over to me and hurriedly put my luggage in the trunk. I tried to help him, but he insisted on doing it himself. I shrugged. I was going to have a lot of servants when I got rich. I like when people do things for me. I sat in the front seat next to him. I gave him the address of the place I had found on Craigslist. The alternative option to a dorm room, $3.25 a month, full of film students and young actors like me. I stared at Cabal while he drove. He was very quiet, his eyes fixed on the road. So how long have you been working with Uber? I asked him politely. It's been a year now, he responded. Do you like it? I asked. Yes, I do, Cabal replied. His eyes darted from the rearview mirror back to the road repeatedly. He drove fast, weaving in and out of traffic. He was doing 80. I remembered my friend Joe telling me that people drove fast on the West Coast. I looked at the palm trees. Not so different from Florida. They bored me. People were my muse, not trees. I looked back at Cabal. He had a nervous energy. He wouldn't look at me. Servile. I tried to lighten him up. So, do you happen to be Persian by any chance? Yes, I am, Cabal said. I smiled. I knew it. My girlfriend's Persian. Ever since I started dating her, I've been able to tell if a person is or not. Your accent is a dead giveaway. Cabal nodded his head and smiled slightly. I went on. I know the correct term is Iranian, but I like to say Persian better. I feel like Persia has a better ring to it than Iran. Iran has such a negative connotation here. You just think of terrorists and stuff. I squinted my eyes and studied Cabal's face. Nothing. No reaction. I gave up. We arrived at the location, 264 South Vendome Street, Los Angeles. I looked at the time. It was only 2 o'clock. I was supposed to meet with the landlord at 5. We're here, Cabal said. Yeah, I nodded. Do you know of any restaurants that I can go? Never mind. I'll take care of it myself, thanks. I got out of the car. Cabal retrieved my stuff from the trunk. Please rate me 5 stars on Uber. It is very important to me, thank you, Cabal said. He was already getting back into his car. Thank you, I said. He had already closed the door. He drove off a second later, leaving me on the side of the street with my overweight luggage. Los Angeles. I stood there for a moment. I looked up at my new home. It was a brown house set high up on a hill. A gate stood in front of me and steep stairs. It didn't look like a dormitory, but I decided to hold my opinion until I got inside. I had 3 hours to kill. I wasn't hungry, but at the same time I hadn't eaten since the day before. I pulled out my iPhone and used my Walk Score app to find out what was in the vicinity. There was some restaurants that weren't too far from where I was standing. I started off in that direction. I pushed my luggage. Thank God it had wheels. The sidewalk was a bit uneven at times. I had to stop and lift the suitcase over the ridges occasionally. I looked around at the scenery. Green grass, no snow. The sun was out, yet it was still too chilly for my taste. Cars sped past. They weren't nice or flashy. No Lamborghinis or Mercedes. They were normal cars being driven by normal people. Lots of Hispanics, I noted. And Asians. I didn't see the restaurants that the app showed me. After a couple of blocks, though, I found a McDonald's and my heart leapt for joy. I was beginning to sweat with the exertion of pushing my luggage. It was a very hilly area. The McDonald's was downhill. I smiled and rushed to meet it. I passed 2 arguing Hispanics on the way inside. They seemed to be very angry over something. I didn't speak Spanish. A young black kid opened the door for me. He had shorts on that fell below his ass. I thanked him and gave him a smile. I pushed my luggage through. I had traveled across the entire country, 3,000 miles by plane, and nothing had changed. McDonald's was still McDonald's. Pimple-faced employees and fat customers. Black people in overgrown white tees and missing teeth. A middle-aged black woman asked me for change. She wanted to buy a Sprite with her fries. I shook my head and walked past her. "Fuck you then." "Fuck you then," she muttered under her breath. I was taller than all the Asians and Hispanics. They dominated the area. They paid no mind to me. All caught up in their own world of problems, speaking their own language. I saw a now hiring sign next to the overhead menu. Interviews were held on Tuesday. I jotted that down in my mental notebook. I ordered my food. 40 chicken McNuggets. I wheeled my luggage into the bathroom. I couldn't leave it out in the open. 25 cents to use the bathroom. I paid. I sat down with my food minutes later. I chose a secluded corner of the restaurant. My bags were in front of me so I could keep a watchful eye on them. I ate in silence. My head swam. Where are the actors? I asked myself. Where are the writers and the artists and the young people? Where are the me's? Kyle. I hadn't thought of him since I landed. I wasn't planning on texting him until I got situated in my new home, but now I felt a strange urgency to reach out to someone that I knew. The only person I knew in this foreign place. Hey Kyle, just wanted to let you know I landed safely in LA. I know you're very busy with your girlfriend leaving for New York this weekend, so I'm not expecting to see you. So, I hope all is well. Hope to talk to you soon. I sent the text with greasy fingers. I wanted to talk to my friends, my girlfriend, my mother, anyone and everyone. My phone lay on the table in front of me. They were all waiting to hear from me, waiting for me to tell them how happy I was here, and how excited I was for the future and everything. I couldn't text them yet. I couldn't tell them I was already beginning to doubt my decision. I pushed my phone away and continued eating. By the 30th McNugget, I was beginning to feel sick at the stomach. Overindulging on junk food is never a good idea, and it's even worse when you're already feeling a little crappy, which I was. I ate all 40 and wanted to throw up. I couldn't waste food, though, especially since I was unemployed with a very limited amount of money. The car service had cost me $88. The McNuggets had been $10. I spent $100 in 10 minutes. What the fuck have I done? It was too early. I was always like this. I make a quick decision and dream up all the positives. Wait. Just wait. You came here for a reason. Remember that. Focus on why you're here. The weather. One of the reasons I had come here was for the warm weather. Okay, now you're thinking. So what the fuck are you doing sitting inside? You have 2 more hours before you meet with the landlord. Spend it outside. I got my luggage and left McDonald's. There was a Starbucks up the street. They had outside seating. I pushed my bags there and sat down. I could come here to write if it's too crowded at the house. I smiled to myself. Now I was thinking the right way. I had come here to write and network. I had come here to make it happen. It was scary, though. I didn't know what was on the next corner or the street behind me. I didn't know anything. Poor people surrounded me, worn clothes on their back, no jewelry or watches, and no white people. None of that mattered, though. I was still me. I still had my brains and my talents. I would be okay. I rested my chin on my bags and closed my eyes. The area disappeared. I focused on my other senses. The breeze on my skin. It wasn't that bad. It smelled nice here as well. I'd always liked the smell of warm weather. I dozed off, a light sleep. I was awoken by an old Asian man prodding me on the shoulder. I looked at him and he smiled, toothless. He handed me a pamphlet and walked away. I looked down at the pamphlet and read the title. Why Aren't You Happy? My eyes narrowed. I went further down the page. Have you accepted Jesus Christ into your life? Do you think it might be time to? I laughed aloud and shook my head. I threw the pamphlet in the trash and checked my phone. 4:30. I had to go soon. Keep moving. I had received text messages during my nap. Joe, Richard, and my love. All asking the same question. How is it? How is it? How is it? I responded to each of them in kind. Awesome. Fantastic. Really excited to be here. That should keep them off my back for a while. I stood up and stretched. Keep moving.